Our Way to a Wonderful Life message for today is titled Money Equals Peace, Money Equals Liberty, and Money Equals Health. Now, for those who have followed this ministry for a long time, realize that I was born and raised in Missouri. And during my childhood, I attended a Baptist church in Missouri where we were taught it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. That's from the Gospel of Mark 10:25. And so we were to be content and satisfied with what we have, we were taught. And during my adult life, after conversion to Catholicism, I was taught it is more blessed to give than to receive. And that's from the book of Acts 20:35. And with these words, it was stressed that we focus more on giving than on receiving. Now, both of these admonitions are taken from the New Testament of the Holy Bible. The first, from the Gospel of Mark, was stated prior to the teachings of Jesus being formed into a religion. The author of the book of Acts was motivated to build a religion or a church, and so this instruction to give, of course, was an instruction to give to the church or to the movement, I guess that you might say, called Christianity. In the early years, the only people that were allowed to be a part of that movement were called Jewish Christians because they were all Jewish people. That is, until they allowed Gentiles into the movement. Now, the author writes that this was an instruction from Jesus, but that doesn't ring as true since the Mastermind Jesus' statement, freely give, freely receive, teaches us to have the consciousness of both giving and receiving. After all, in order to give, we must have already received. Otherwise, we have nothing to give. Now, this is not limited to material things, but also from the nature of a giving spirit within us that is helpful and cooperative and friendly. Now, this teaching of the camel through the eye of a needle was not original to the author of the Gospel of Mark. The Persian version, which was the original, used elephant rather than camel, but the implication was the same. The camel was the largest animal in Israel, thus the change. The negative interpretation by those who lack the consciousness to understand the teachings of the Mastermind Jesus created the false idea that somehow wealth is bad or that wealthy people are doomed to be left without access to the kingdom of God, with a contradiction to the very universal spiritual principles that the Mastermind Jesus gave us. His was not a teaching of living in lack or want, but a teaching that we can have life and have a lifestyle that is abundantly filled with the good things we desire. It is foolish to think it is the Father's good pleasure to give to you, which we read from the Gospel of Luke 12:32, but you should only expect just enough to get by. Now, Henry Harrison Brown wrote in 1903, "There is no peace, no health, where there is want, be it want of material supply, wisdom supply, or love supply. Love, truth, and dollars, these are all necessary to human well-being. Mind, body, and estate must be cared for. In order that there may be health and happiness and prosperity, there must be harmony, and harmony brings liberty. This liberty is found in merely giving self, the soul, its way. Harmony is living in obedience to mental law. It is found in right thinking. The bane of poverty is the main cause of poverty, the unrest, the dis-ease, or the unease that afflicts mankind. Remove poverty by right thinking, and all attendant evils will disappear. This right thinking means that there will be on the part of the right thinking individual a change of attitude towards the dollar. That is, towards money. The prevalent attitude is want for the dollar, belief that dollars are power. This must be outgrown, and the attitude must be that all power is in mankind. Now, Mr. Brown wrote that money and wealth and dollars only have the power that we delegate to them. They are useless without mankind's use of them. And we understand from the great W. Frederick Keeler, who was one of the greatest of American healers of the 19th century, that the reason people get into want and they get into poverty is a feeling or a sense of desperation, of always being abused or quarrel with themselves, confusion, a feeling of hopeless struggle, doubts and uncertainties, non-acceptance, and disorder in their thinking. And he tells us that the solution is to have peace regarding the need, faith in the universe, a sense of the abundance in the universe that is available, that God is the source of creation itself, and a positive choosing, a definite ask for. In other words, know what it is that we want and be definite about what we want, and then feel a sense of gratitude and acceptance and love for God for giving us. It's just as Jesus said, it's the Father's good pleasure to give to us. But we must have the consciousness of acceptance. So let's go back to our good friend Henry Harrison Brown, and he tells us it is a legitimate demand on the part of each individual that they have enough. To supply human needs is a function of the universe. All is for mankind. The sun shines for us, the waters run for us, the flowers bloom for us, the grain ripens for us, and the earth teems with beauty for us. All would be useless, would be purposeless, but for us. Mankind's consciousness gives meaning, that is, a use, a value, a purpose, to the universe. There is enough in the universal one from which all things materialize. Remember, God is the source of creation itself. So for each one to have enough to meet all desires without robbing anyone is the truth. Infinite supply is all about us, and yet there is want. We have not known how to claim, nor have we claimed our own. So we must learn to trust implicitly in the inviolable law of cause and effect. You are cause. I am cause. Supply is the effect that must follow our affirmation. That's from the great Henry Harrison Brown. He lived on this planet from 1840 to 1918, and he wrote this in 1903. And so we bring everything back to our own mind, intelligence, and wisdom. In other words, consciousness. Money is peace and liberty and health. It is our healthy attitude towards money and wealth and wealthy people that brings us at one with peace and liberty and health. It is up to us to affirm this is true for us. We can cause these things to be true for us by conditioning our mind to trust in our own power to give to us. For as the Mastermind Jesus stated, it is the Spirit of God's pleasure to give to us. But we must take pleasure in the power within us that makes the personal to us. So we must learn to affirm. Can we affirm the right things for us? Do we have it within us to speak our word, and to speak our word with power, to speak our word with confidence? Every day we must learn to believe. We must look to the great invisible, which we call God, and we must never forget that the law of mind perfectly reflects any ideas, whether we call these ideas good, bad, or indifferent. We must find out what it is that we truly believe before it shows up as an effect in our life and draws us into poverty or illness or failure in some way, shape, or form. We must never forget that the Spirit of God is always available, but we must recognize God. So let's say it to ourselves. I recognize that the great invisible, let's say it out loud if you can, I recognize that the great invisible is always available to me, always willing to give to me, and I know that as it gives to me, it gives through my consciousness that accepts and obtains in mind that good that is mine right now, right where I am. Beginning right now, right where I am, and let's say, and so it is, amen.